Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and we know that the PlayStation 3 has some pretty expensive games on it. Earlier, I did a video talking about my condition upgrade of The Godfather, which at the time, because I wasn't really on the lookout for The Godfather and most of the Godfather games that I had seen at the time, because they weren't expensive, I wasn't really considering this game to be like one of the most expensive games on the PlayStation 3, but it was. But what drew me to it was the fact that it wasn't a game that I had seen often and it looked interesting. The gameplay looked interesting. And there are a lot of games on the PlayStation 3, especially at the time that I was collecting for the PlayStation 3, that looked really interesting but weren't expensive. And here's a good example. You have Wet, and I'm so glad that I never took this sticker off from GameStop. But I remember going into GameStop and seeing this game, Wet. And I remember when I watched the gameplay of this game, it made me think of Max Payne. Just in the way, she moves throughout the game. There's like some melee elements to the game, a little bit of hacking and slashing. But then there's also this like slow down bullet time aspect to the game where she can like slow down and, to get a better target on her enemies and things like that. And it just had this like open world hack and slash shoot 'em up feel to it. And I remember thinking, this is a really cool game, and it wasn't expensive at the time. Look at this, 2023, so almost 2 years ago now. I picked this game back up in 2023, when it was still like a $4 game. I think this game might have been going for less than $4 in some cases. And then I don't know where the game shot up. And at one point, I think this game had shot up to 35 to $40. I think it settled down somewhere between 25 and $30. This is probably like a $30 game right now. I'm not sure. You guys can let me know down in the comments. We got a lot of aficionados when it comes to the pricing of games. But when it comes to like seventh gen games, I'm not always super hip to like what's like expensive and what's not. I'm usually just picking up the uncommon stuff, like the stuff that I don't typically see at a GameStop. So if it's a game that I rarely see, regardless of if it's $5 or $50, I'm gonna pick it up because to me, like I don't know when I'm gonna see this game again. And I just, remembered seeing this game Wet and just thinking this looks like a really cool game. And this serves as an example of why I think like the seventh gen might still be a good generation to collect for, because you have a lot of games like Wet right now that still are $4 and $5. And I don't know where those games are gonna go to $30, $40, $50. They're gonna shoot up. And they'll just be out of reach. Now, Wet is one example, but I did just want to kind of go through a couple of like in-betweener games on the PlayStation 3, some sleepers that people may not realize are good games that aren't like in the $60 to $70 range, but they're not super cheap, but these are cool games to probably just look out for. First up, that I would say is Spider-Man 3. I know there's a lot of ways that you can play this game. There's a lot of consoles that you can play it on, but I think you get some of the best graphics for this game out of the PlayStation 3 or the 360. I mean, pick your poison, but in this case, I would prefer it on the PlayStation 3. And I think as the special edition, it comes with some extras. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the slipcover that comes with the special edition, but I do have that lenticular card from the movie that shows Spider-Man fighting the Sandman, which is pretty cool. I remember this was like before the well, I don't think it was before the MCU, but I think this is when the rights to Spider-Man were still with 21st Century Fox. So he wasn't as ingrained. This wasn't your Tom Holland Spider-Man. This is still the Tobey Maguire era. But this is a cool game, man, and I don't think this is super expensive. This is one that you can check out. It may be in the $30 to $40 range, but definitely one worth checking out. If you're into compilations, like the PS3 has a ton of them, right? You've got the Sly Cooper collection. You've got the Jack and Dax, not the Jack, but the Jack collection of games. I was more into the Sly collection because I actually had all three of these games on the PlayStation 2 before I sold like a good chunk of my PlayStation 2 collection. So snagging all of these up for around $32 which is what this used to be. So this used to be like a $32 game, but then GameStop bumped the price up on this. Now it's like a $38 game. So these PlayStation 3 games, man, they're like creeping up. They're bumping them up. Definitely a cool one to find. If you can find this, I say grab it. This is another sleeper. If you're a fan of the Dynasty Warriors series, Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3. I mean, this is one that you can get either on the PlayStation 3 or on the Xbox 360. When I picked this up, this was like a $22 game or a $23 game at GameStop. I don't know where this is at now. This would seem like one of those PlayStation 3 games that would jump up. So I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a $60 game now, but at the time that I got it, it was like a $20 game or so. That's because like I started buying for the PlayStation 3 like back in 2023, like early 2023, late 2022. That was when I was like doing all my PS3 shopping, just trying to get it out the way. So yeah, definitely a good one though. I'm a huge fan of the Dynasty Warriors series, and I like Gundam, so that seemed like a good one to me. Blitz the League. Now this one is actually getting on the more expensive and rare side. This is like a $50 game or so. When I picked this up from GameStop, it was like 40 bucks. But this, for some reason, is the more expensive version. It has LT in there. I grew up playing Blitz both in the arcade and on the Dreamcast, I want to say. Either on the Dreamcast or the PlayStation 2. One of the two. I think it was the Dreamcast. I played Blitz. Um, and was it the Dreamcast? I know I played it in the arcade for sure. It was definitely one of those games we played a lot. And I just remember the NFL 2K series on Dream. Maybe I'm thinking Dreamcast because of NFL 2K. NFL 2K in some ways felt a lot like Blitz for sure. But this is definitely a cool one. This is a sleeper. Most people might not know about it. Definitely includes LT. If you're a fan of like the Blitz games, this is one that you'll want to check out. I snagged this one just because when I had never seen this game in a GameStop before. Even though it was 40, I went ahead and picked it up primarily because it was complete. If it wasn't complete, I wouldn't have gotten it, but it was complete and the manual was in pretty good condition. So whenever I see these complete PS3 games at GameStop, I just jump on them just because I don't know when I'm going to grab them again. Here's a game that I never actually opened. This is actually a top-down shoot 'em up, but you play as a helicopter. It's called Under Defeat. This is one that I never hear talked about on the PlayStation 3. Like, I never hear people talk about this game. I've had this game for years now, and I still haven't cracked the seal on it. But it is a top-down shoot 'em up. If you're into space shooters, this is one of those like 2.5D, like the background is rendered in like 3D, but it still has like this top-down effect to it. I think this is a cool shoot 'em up from the video footage that I've seen. It's just one that I never got a chance to crack yet, but this is a sleeper too. I mean, you could get this game sealed, I think, for under 60. I think you can still get this game brand new for under 60. So if you're into shoot 'em ups, if you're into shooters, I know there's not a ton of them on the PlayStation 3. This is one that you could definitely sink your teeth into. Um, Action RPG lovers, I've got a couple for you. I'll do them in rapid fire. The first is Trinity Souls of Zilol. This is another one that you don't hear talked about a lot, but it is a pretty cool action RPG game. You could build your team and do team attacks. Definitely a cool one to check out. I think that's a PlayStation exclusive. Another one that's a PlayStation exclusive, Drakengard 3. So you know the Drakengard series started on the PlayStation 2 with Drakengard 1 and Drakengard 2, which at one point was like 150 bucks. That's come way down. You could get Drakengard 2 these days for like 60 to 70 bucks. But Drakengard 3 is even cheaper. You get it brand new for like 30 bucks. This is not an expensive game at all. I say grab this one while you can, like while it's cheap. I don't know if the price on this has changed at all, but I know that this game was a game you could pick up on Amazon for like 30 bucks. Seriously, brand new, sealed. And this is pretty much just a hack and slasher on the PlayStation 3. So definitely one worth checking out if you're into the hack and slash genre. I recommend that one. Nothing too crazy. Here goes another $25 to $30 game, Tekken Hybrid. The cool thing about this game is that not only do you get a couple of really cool nostalgic Tekken games, you also get a Tekken movie, which is actually pretty good. Like it's a 3D movie. It's a, it's done in like those 3D graphics, but I think it's a pretty good movie, man. You get a lot of bang for your buck with this one. And after you watch the movie, you just want to kind of play a little Tekken. Yeah, so a lot of bang for your buck with the Tekken Hybrid game. Definitely recommend you checking this one out for sure. And then the last but not least, another RPG for you, action RPG, Folklore on the PlayStation 3. This is a very unheard of one. Like, not a lot of people talk about this one either, but this is just a pretty cool action RPG style game. If you're into that more open world feel, you will like that one. So, like I said, not trying to take up a ton of your time this evening, but there are some really cool PlayStation 3 games. And the moral of the story is that a lot of these games, the prices are shifting. They're fluctuating. Like, some of them are on their way up. Some of them are leveling off. And some might be coming down a little bit. But for the most part, a lot of these games were $5 and $10 just a couple years ago, right? So maybe even last year, some of these games were still $5 or $10. So don't sleep. They're definitely out there. You just kind of got to keep your head on a swivel. But that does it for me. It's a Y2K Collector. Let me know if there are any other PlayStation 3 sleepers that I'm not mentioning in this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.